Hey, welcome back to this YouTube channel. My name is Salvador Brigman, and in this video, we are going through a start to finish tutorial of how to set up a GoFundMe campaign. So if you've been looking and you've been struggling and maybe even pulling your hair out trying to get a GoFundMe campaign up and running, or you haven't even started the process yet, by the end of today's video, not only are you going to have more confidence going into that process, but you're also going to take away many different actionable takeaways when it comes to how to actually get donations, spread the word, and what you really got to do to actually just have the foundation necessary to raise funding from the crowd using crowdfunding. So first of all, GoFundMe can be used by many different types of people, charities, nonprofit organizations. You can use it for raising money for a medical fund, memorial fund, emergency costs, nonprofit education, even business related or creative projects, etc. So this is really used worldwide as a way to cash in on the crowdfunding revolution. And I say that because this is really one of the earliest forms of crowdfunding. And the cool thing about this, you can go through GoFundMe and you can actually explore some of the different campaigns on here. You'll see how many different current events and also many people who've come from many walks of life are successfully raising money on this website, whether it's from their website here, their mobile app, etc. And there's been just phenomenal levels of success. So as we're getting into this, who the heck am I to actually do a video on this? Again, my name is Sal or Salvador. I wrote the first book, Crowdfunding Personal Expenses, which is really focused on GoFundMe and websites like that as to how to use crowdfunding in order to raise money and actually how to do that tactically, efficiently, and strategically. And a lot of people have said very nice things about this book on Amazon, Kindle, audio, etc. I also have written another book called Secret GoFundMe Fundraising Tricks. Not a lot of people know about this book, but I actually went out there and I interviewed 20 successful GoFundMe campaigns and organizers, and they shared with me the secrets of what went well when it came to their project in order to get funding. And lastly, if this is not the icing on the cake, my friend, I actually got started in the crowdfunding industry back in 2012 when I was living in Brooklyn, New York, and I didn't really expect to be in the industry for so long, but my work really took off. I've had many different major publications like CNN, Wall Street Journal, Forbes recognize my work, and in addition, GoFundMe's blog itself recognized CrowdCrux as one of the top crowdfunding blogs. So just to kind of suffice to say, I've done a lot of education in this niche, and by the end of this video, I hope that you really take away some great tactical advice and really how to actually go out there and be successful with your project. All right, man, so let's get started. Grab a bowl of popcorn and a Diet Coke or the beverage of your choice, and let's dive right in. So first of all, I think we should really start with some of the common FAQs when it comes to GoFundMe. So when you're getting started with a GoFundMe campaign, the first question I usually have is who actually donates to these campaigns, right? And when I'm doing calls with my students or people who enroll in my courses and my programs, they're usually like, how do I get random strangers to actually donate to my campaign? But when in the early days, when GoFundMe was just started, there's so much novelty that was happening that anyone would be willing to do this. But over time, there have been some scams and not so great events. So nowadays, one of the great programs that GoFundMe has running is what's called the GoFundMe Guarantee Program. So any donor out there who actually donates to a GoFundMe campaign has this great guarantee, which is that they guarantee you a full refund in the rare case that something isn't right, which is basically where there is some kind of a fraud or negative event which happens. And this is really how the donation actually is protected. And they're covered, as you can see, for 1 full year after those people donate to campaigns. So it's not just that someone's donating to charity or personal cause or your campaign. There is also an element there where they make sure that the people that are raising money are actually doing the things that they say they are going to do. And kind of thinking about this as well, another question I tend to get is, what is the pricing like for running one of these campaigns? Am I going to have to pay anything, Sal? Let me know. So when it comes to the pricing, this is really something that has evolved over time. When GoFundMe first got started, I was around in the industry and they were charging a 5% fee when it comes to campaign creators that were raising money on their site. They since shifted that to then first only allowing people to launch a campaign and doing it for $0 in terms of that, and charging the donors instead of the campaign creator. It looks like they've made another shift again where they're actually charging a 2.9% fee, a one-time fee automatically deducted from each donation, and a 30 cents, as you can see there, $10 fee when it comes to the donation. They are also going to ask your donors on an optional basis to donate to the GoFundMe campaign website itself to help maintain operations. That's going to be optional, but that's something that you should know about when it comes to raising money as an individual or as a business. When it comes to a charity there, you can as well see the percentage difference, 2.2% versus 2.9% when it comes to individuals and businesses. Now, the cool thing here is that they do give you a bit of a calculator if you raise like $500 from 5 donors, right? Transaction fee would be $16, as you can see here. However, this calculator very nicely, whether that's, on Illuminati or any kind of, things that happen behind the scenes there, but it doesn't say anything about the percentage that they actually would ask your donors to tip them, right? But so from a campaign creator's perspective, this is how it works. The other quick thing we want to go through is just the countries. As you're getting started with a GoFundMe campaign, this is again another hurdle that I see a lot of different creators going through and fundraisers going through, which is that there are only 20 countries where they can send funds currently, and they have to meet different withdrawal requirements from that country. So before you get started with your project, I would recommend looking and making sure and verifying that your country is within this list, and as well some of the territories where it is not actually available. So for example, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Finland, you can read this on your own time, United States, UK. This is really where we're seeing many of the GoFundMe campaigns raise money. All right, so let's hop right in. If we go to GoFundMe.com and we click start a GoFundMe campaign, this is really the first step to getting a campaign up and running. In addition, you're going to need to select your country. So I'm going to select United States. I now live in Miami, Florida. So we got zip code 33132 there. And I'm going to describe what it is that I am raising money for. So in this case, we're going to do an imaginary campaign. Let's just say I'm going to be going volunteering in El Salvador, which is actually where I am adopted from. I was adopted from El Salvador at the age of 1. And let's do a volunteering campaign. So next, we're going to click continue. This is the next screen where you need to make a decision here. And the reason why is that I've mentioned this in my books. I've mentioned this in other videos, but you can actually raise money for a beneficiary. And this is a tactical strategy which you can use to raise more than the average person. So from a statistical standpoint, people will raise more on GoFundMe if someone else is raising money on their behalf. The reason why is a marketing term called social proof. Social proof is that if someone else is raising money on your behalf, there's much more trust kind of enabled there, and people feel more comfortable that this is a legitimate need. But you can also raise money as well for yourself or a charity, and you can select the verified charity or EIN number when it comes to who you are raising money for on GoFundMe. So for right now, we're just going to do yourself just to make this easy. We would click continue here. If you're on your mobile website, you then have a starting goal. So this is something to keep in mind that, again, there's going to be a little bit over 2% fee when it comes to GoFundMe, and also that initial fee for every transaction. So you can do your math there. If you're not very good at math like myself, I honestly was not very good at math when I was growing up. I was much more interested in things like marketing, psychology. I was really into writing, right? If you're not into math, I'd recommend breaking out an Excel spreadsheet or a calculator and really seeing, okay, how much do you actually need to raise minus the fees, right? And some of the other charges that are there. So let's just say, I would say on average, a beginning fundraiser might be around like $1,000 to $3,000. We're going to say $5,000 when it comes to your goal. The vast majority of campaigns on GoFundMe don't really see the same kind of funding effect as Kickstarter and Indiegogo. They tend to raise thereabouts what they're looking for when it comes to GoFundMe. So we're going to start with a $5,000 goal, and this could also be a part of a larger fundraising strategy. In order to receive the funds, you can see here, you got to have a social security number and a bank account and a mailing address in one of the 50 states in order to actually do that, considering that we chose the United States. You would then click continue, and you would fill out all those wonderful account details, the password. You're going to have to remember another password, man. I'm sorry about that. I hate that, right? But you're going to have to remember another password, and then you are going to sign up. And as the next piece in the puzzle, you're going to need to select the phone number in which you would like to have a verification phone sent via a text message or a voice call. So make sure you enter your phone number next, and then you click send code. All right, so once you enter your phone number and you get that verified, the next step here would be to add a cover photo or a video. Now, this is something that you can change later or that you can update in the future. And there's actually a lot of science that goes behind a great cover photo and also a great video that's out there. It goes a little bit too much, to actually go through in this video. But what I would say is that every single great photo instantly is recognizable in terms of the need or the cause. And in addition, it usually evokes an emotion of some kind. So I talk about this a lot in some of my other videos, which you can look up on YouTube or you can learn more about on your own time. So first of all, we would want to drag our photo if we're doing a photo or a YouTube video link. So if you wanted to do a video, right, you could actually have something that's positive, something that's really going to show people the way in which this is going to help you. You could also go into the actual need itself. From a scientific basis, you want to hit on things that allow people to have empathy and also tell a little bit of your story. I could, for example, put in my video here. Fundraisers with the video, as you can see, do raise 10% more on GoFundMe. I'm going to put in, just for now, the video that I filmed, that I made, actually finding my birth mother in El Salvador. And this video actually got over 500,000 views when it came to producing that video. So video is actually really powerful. I can put that in here, right? And it's going to have a video there. Another image, if we want to do more of like an image-based one, we could actually do something. Let me go back here so you can see what an image might look like. We could do an image like this, right? And we could have something where a bunch of kids, they're in El Salvador. So for now, I'm just going to do the video link because I kind of like that video and it's very memorable for me. And we will click continue and we're going to move to the next piece of the process. Now, you don't have to have a video, but again, it'll raise a tiny bit more and there's actually more trust. But I'd rather have actually a really great photo if you can't produce, a good video when it comes to that. Step 4 would be telling the donors your story. Now, I as well don't actually recommend getting started just on the GoFundMe campaign here with the story. I would create a Word document or a Google document and actually write out the story. And that way people can give you feedback. They can go through revisions. You can really get a sense of how this is working over time, right? And you can share it with some other people. In general, when you're going through the story, and you can, use a lot of different examples here on GoFundMe itself, there's a couple different major elements you're going to want to hit. So first of all, you're going to want to hit the story of what happened. So for example, there was this massive fire and unfortunately it caused our business to, our inventory to go up in flames, and we are a local staple in the community. We have a book business or something like that. And we really need help because of this massive fire that happened. And this is the damages and, et cetera. So the story of like what happened. The next I would recommend saying is some kind of empathy or connecting it to what's at stake. So for example, because of this, we have, 5 employees who have families and have healthcare needs, and we're not able to pay our payroll. So the funds here are going to be used in order to help alleviate some of those salaries and also to help replenish the inventory and to do some, improvements when it comes to the actual, bookstore, to getting it back to where it is so we can spread education and literacy again in our local community. So I would recommend also having empathy, right? Connecting to like what's at stake if something does not happen. In addition, more logical details of where those funds are going. So people want to know that if they're going to give $100 to a random campaign on GoFundMe, that's actually going to have some kind of a meaningful impact. So I would say here, meaningful impact, okay? And the more tangible you can make that impact, the better. So for example, if you said, hey, giving $100 will give, if we're going to El Salvador, let's just say, giving $100 is going to enable you to give 25 books, or it's going to give you 50 books, right, to this many classrooms and arm this many students with a textbook about, learning, or it's going to teach this many kids how to read. The more, tangible that you can get when it comes to the meaning, the better that's going to be. The next would be an ask of some kind. So really, what are you asking people to do? How can they involve themselves in the story? How can they play the hero of the story? How can they join in and really help you? And what does that mean to you as well? So these are a couple of different major elements. I'm not going to go through this too much, but also if you wanted to, you could insert photos. So the big missing element I tend to see with GoFundMe campaigns is that there is not a photo which legitimizes the entire story. So the more that you can have photos or videos even, it will legitimize, we'll just say legitimate storytelling. It makes it feel more real. It gives more of an emotional appeal. And I will give you an example of that in a little bit of what the impact of a story in this format can actually have. And again, you can also have a video which you upload there. So in working off of this framework, and I'm going to do this just kind of on the fly here as I am literally narrating this to you, right? And so it's very difficult to write and type and also speak at the same time. But I'm going to go off of this framework. I like to have a framework when I'm doing some kind of a writing project like this. We'll just say there's a major fire in a small school in El Salvador that is paramount for the education of the local community. It's the only school in, I will just say in, 60 miles, and it is teaching students in that community how to read and write. So this is what happened. There's a major fire. The more specific we could get, the better. So we could say like in 2023, we could say in a small school in August. We could even get more specific. So August 2023 in a small school. Thankfully, no one was harmed, but all of the books and learning materials were destroyed, as well as the interior of the school. Let's get more here into logical details, right? So our aim is to restore this small school for the town of, we're just gonna, have a town name here. We're gonna say Xochitoto, which is a town actually in El Salvador. I might have misspelled that, unfortunately. Our aim is to restore this small school for the town of Xochitoto so that we can empower tomorrow's youth and improve the literacy rates in this small country. Our funds will go towards, we'll just say, purchasing textbooks, renovating the interior, buying desks, and school supplies. All right. So we've hit, first of all, the story, empathy of what's at stake, logical details. This is the ask. And we'll make this more tangible. So like by donating even $50, $50, $100, or $250, you will have a massive impact on this project. Every $50 allows us to buy, we'll just say maybe 20, or we'll say 15 textbooks, which will easily fill a classroom, as these can be reused throughout the year. And then we'll just add one more logical basis, one more ask here. For those that might consider volunteering and getting more involved, we also have select an option at the $500 level or $1,000 level to sponsor a classroom in this school. Here are a few photos of the devastating fire and this was again August 2023. I'm going to say photos. Okay. So I'm just kind of writing this again on the fly, and this is just based on my basic framework here. I would definitely have more that I would recommend, but I'm just kind of doing this really quickly. So if we wanted to, we can also now use this new GoFundMe feature, which would actually enhance our story. So we're going to click enhance here. As you can see here, GoFundMe is now working with AI. They probably have an API of some kind, maybe working with ChatGPT, OpenAI, or with Bard. I'm not exactly sure on which API they are using, but it's going through voice, tone, grammar, spelling, paragraph structure, all the things that you need to make sure you're doing right in order to have any kind of a chance when it comes to the campaign. So let's take a look at, first of all, the enhanced version, right, when it comes to GoFundMe. So we see here a couple of bolded items. So there's a major fire in 2023 in a small school in El Salvador that is paramount for the education of the local community. It's the only school in 6-mile radius. The community knows how to read and write. Thankfully, no one was harmed. Our aim is to restore that small school for the town of Xochitoto. As you can see here, when it comes to that, what it looks like as an enhanced version, right? And so they've bolded a couple of the elements there. If we didn't want to use that enhanced version, you could just do the spell check. I think at the very least, you got to do the spell check, man. I hate doing spell check. I'm really bad at grammar. I'm really bad at, dotting my I's, crossing my T's. I'm much more of like a passionate guy. That's why I got into this industry, because I'm passionate about crowdfunding and helping you, people like you, get funding for your projects. But if you did nothing else, my friend, just do a spell check, right? So we'll just do the enhanced version, and we'll click use this story, right? And they bolded this as a way to just make this stand out a little bit. So let's do continue here. I do also have, and I'm uploading even more videos, which I will talk about as to how to use AI to enhance your GoFundMe campaign. And I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillment is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillment today. Link in the description. So the cool thing here about this is that if you don't want to reinvent the wheel, they already are incorporating AI in order to actually suggest a couple of titles. So some of the ones they've suggested are Rebuilding Tsuchitoda's School, Empower the Youth, Support Tsuchitoda's School Restoration, Help Revive Education in Tsuchitoda. So when it comes to this, while I do love AI and I've been using it a lot in my marketing work, I do also recognize that AI does not always have the best solution. So for example, I think that if we were to use the keyword El Salvador, that would be much more recognized than Suchitoto, which really only people who are from El Salvador know where that local town is, right? So we can copy these, but let's actually write our own for now. So we have, again, some of our copy ones here. So one was Rebuilding Suchitoda's School, Empower the Youth. So what we could do is Devastating Fire, Rebuilding a Local School in El Salvador. So what I like about this is what happened, Devastating Fire and Rebuilding Local School in El Salvador. So we're just going to suggest, let's do this, suggest titles. And theirs was, again, Support School Restoration, Help Revive Education. So these to me are a little bit too generic. So I do like this, what happened, and then connecting it to what it is that we're doing. And I do actually have formats as well when it comes to these titles, which I'll talk about a bit later. So we go to the review process, and this is, again, step number 5 of 6. So we have our cover media here. We got our title, we got our goal, we got our category, location, and this is just where I am right now, and the story itself is what happened. Let's first click preview, and let's see how this is gonna look on GoFundMe's website. So if you've been enjoying this video, first of all, please give me a thumbs up, and so that other people know that this is worth their time, that the content I'm producing is educational, helpful, informative, and that if you did like it as well, you can leave a positive comment. And if you want to, you can also share your GoFundMe link in the description down below, or at least let me know where it is you are, what it is you're doing when it comes to your work. So as you can see here, we have our video, which shows up. We got a share now button, a donate now button. We have our title, and we also then have our story. So we would, of course, as well insert the photos into that story. We have the organizer here. So my name, Salvador Brigman, right? The organizer information. So this is really the bare bones of what a GoFundMe campaign is going to look like. Now, one thing I would say is that I do recommend going through a checklist and evaluating your campaign before you go live with it. And here's the reason. Dude, it is so easy to launch a GoFundMe campaign. We literally could have done that in like 5 minutes, right? So easy to do. However, just because it's easy to do doesn't mean you're going to get the results that you want. It's very easy to walk into a gym. It's very easy to trot onto a golf, I guess a tennis court, or going to it like a golf course, right? It's very easy to go there and to just go and check it out. But to have a good golf swing, to be really good at playing tennis, to actually get the results you want when it comes to fitness, it's quite challenging. So with this, there are best practices that go beyond what I've put together here that will dramatically enhance your campaign, as well as templates as it is for marketing it, which I'm going to talk about in just a sec. So for now, let's just publish this. So let's launch this and let's see what this actually looks like when it comes to going live with this GoFundMe campaign. Now, I don't want to underplay this. I know this could be a long time coming for you. This could have been a very challenging, last couple of months or years or even days. And this is definitely something that deserves a lot of attention and focus. And I like to, obviously spice things up a little bit when it comes to my education and teaching style, but I do have a lot of reverence for anyone who is doing a GoFundMe campaign. So once you actually publish it, you can see here, you can copy this link. I do recommend copying this exact link and pasting that somewhere. I like to use Apple Notes. You can use any kind of software tool for that. I talk more about other tools as well in the GoFundMe Cash Machine, which is a really cool system I've developed. You can also share this on Facebook. You can send it via email, right? You can also send it via Messenger, etc. You can print a post. You can embed this on your website. There's a lot of things easily that you can do once you've actually published your fundraiser. When you get to your fundraiser page, you then have a dashboard, as you can see here. You can also click View Fundraiser, which I'm going to do here in just a second. You can share your fundraiser. Other things here would be you can edit your team if you wanted to. So one of the things I talk about in my book is that when you assemble a crowdfunding street team, you will dramatically raise more money than if you were just to do it on your own. Because if someone is vouching, I call it vouching, for a campaign on your behalf, their network is way more likely to donate than if you tried to just market it to their network on your own. If you get them to share it with their friends and family, it's going to be far better received, right, when it comes to doing the mark. So an easy thing here, if we wanted to just kind of go through this, is that you could go through the fundraising checklist, right? And you could go and you can read a lot about this information. One of the reasons why I am cited as one of the top blogs on GoFundMe for crowdfunding is that, I'll be honest with you, there's some good information here, but there's also a lot of good information that's not here, right? So I love GoFundMe, but I gotta be honest, there's a lot of ways in terms of improvement, and that's what I try to do with my work. So we'll go through this checklist in a second, but let's take a look at some of these other items. You will begin to see the donations. So as they begin to pour in here, you can also see transfers. So you can hook up your bank account or a business bank account if you wanted to, or if you have a beneficiary, if you're raising money on someone else's behalf, you can actually send that to their bank account as well. And there's videos there, tutorials sharing with you that. One of the very little discussed features of GoFundMe is updates. And I'll give you an example in just a second of what an update looks like. But updates is so incredibly powerful because it allows you to engage the people who've already donated, and they're more likely then to share your campaign on your behalf, which again, it goes back to having the crowdfunding street team. So updates are kind of like mini blog posts, if you want to think of it that way, and they are really, really powerful. So I'm going to just go through a couple of these checklist items really quickly, and then I'm going to share with you an example, and then we're going to close off this video talking a bit about how to actually get donations, how to market, how to get this out there. So first of all, let's look at some of the checklist items that GoFundMe recommends. They recommend having a profile photo, fundraising tips. Profile photo is great for what's called social proof, which we discussed before. It adds a lot of credibility to what it is you're doing. You can go through some of the major tips here, talking about how the funds are going to be used. We already covered that. Photos and videos, have someone proofread, or in the case of using AI, right? I think the GoFundMe fundraising tips is a great early place to start. But again, these are actually really basic. So like, write a descriptive fundraiser title, right? Be as detailed as possible. Choose high quality photos. I talk more in the GoFundMe Cash Machine about like specifically and tactically what you actually got to do, just like copy and paste kind of stuff, right? I think this is a little bit generic, too generic for my taste. Some other ones would be, spreading news about your fundraiser. However, from a tactical standpoint, you could actually get local and regional and even nationwide news organizations to write about your GoFundMe and your cause. And I share with you exactly how to do that as well in the GoFundMe Cash Machine. So go back here. Let's go to some of these share early and often. Again, sharing with family and friends on social media, sharing offline, sharing next door, right? I think these are some very early things you should be doing. And if you're not doing them, you're definitely going to start to get some donations that way. Building a fundraising team, and I call this your street team, is a great way to raise more money, which I talked about. This is also heavily documented in my book, Nonprofit Crowdfunding Explained, where I actually went through the differences of peer-to-peer fundraising and traditional crowdfunding. And having a street team has been proven scientifically to raise more money if you do have a team that's working with you when it comes to these campaigns. So let's get into an example. If you've made it this far in the video, congratulations. You are investing your time in your own education and retooling your skill set. You're taking this seriously. And I think that this is a much larger vision than just doing one GoFundMe campaign. I've had people come to me doing a GoFundMe campaign, and then they end up actually doing another campaign, or they even raise money for GoFundMe campaigns on other people's behalf, and they're paid to do that. I have people then who transition and do Kickstarter campaigns, Indiegogo. So crowdfunding is this massive industry which is only growing, and by learning how to get funding for your campaign, you are pretty much assured that you're never going to have to worry about another emergency or life event, because you understand how to use the power of the internet and crowdfunding websites like GoFundMe to be able to move your life forward and achieve the things that you want to. That could be, for example, in the future, developing another income stream. It could be getting the 9-to-5 job that you've always wanted. It could be learning about marketing so So that way you can actually work from home or have the kind of independence that you want to. Whatever your passion or your dream is, I'm telling you that crowdfunding can help you get there because you are surrounding yourself with a tribe of people online that all have a vested interest in that same vision which you have. And you can see how it's been very powerful, right? Especially in the last 5 to 10 years with social media and influencers, how powerful it is to have a crowd on your side. So that being said, let's take a look at You and Me Books Recovery Campaign. Now, one of the reasons why I pulled up this campaign is that I actually used to live in Brooklyn, New York. When I launched my podcast, when I wrote my first book, I was in Brooklyn, New York, and I was living around Greenpoint, Brooklyn. It's a beautiful area, and I always have, for me, just like a love affair with New York. Sometimes it's love and hate, but it's a great city. And unfortunately, this very negative event happened with You and Me Books. So first of all, let's look at the title, You and Me Books Recovery Funds. People who understand or have an experience with You and Me Books are naturally going to immediately recognize that, and also the recovery fund of what happened, right? So a major disaster must have happened and people want to know more. Also take note of how short, I really like the shortness of this actual title. If we scroll down here, this is a very rare example of a GoFundMe campaign which has raised more than twice of their goal. And I think they did it very brilliantly. This is quite rare. I'd say the majority of campaigns are raising about how much their goal is. So if they have a 150K goal, usually they're raising 150K. These guys smashed it, knocked it out of the park with their marketing, and thus they're a great example. One of the great hallmarks of this is that, like I said, you don't have to have a video to be successful with a GoFundMe campaign. Does it enhance it? Yes. Is it going to give you more trust and social proof? Yes. But you don't have to have one in order to be successful. This video or this photo naturally calls out the fact that people are going to recognize what this looks like, and they're going to be pulled back in their memory to the last time they actually visited this specific store. So let's analyze just a tiny bit here. First of all, this kind of plea for help. I love this because it feels like, oh my gosh, how can I help, right? You and Me Books need your help. Very straight, very to the point. I love that. They then get into the actual story behind the campaign. So on the afternoon of July 4th, there was a fire in a residential unit. I'm not going to read all of this, but there was significant smoke and water damage. So like what happened, right? What's at stake? It makes our day-to-day business impossible. So we were forced to cease operations, right? More devastatingly, this happened in terms of gutted renovation. It'll take about a year to complete. So now they're facing foreclosure, or they're facing closure of the business, which means other bills that are coming to place, and the importance of why this is such an important thing for the community, right? If you've been to any of our book launches, artist pop-ups, Mike nights, this is obviously a staple in that local community. Another thing here would be just, emphasizing who it is that's actually behind this campaign. So Lucy has poured her entire self into making this space a reality, right? Et cetera, talking about where the expenses are going to, how your funds are truly appreciated, right? And also then getting into some of the photos as well, and also a thank you for those who actually see this campaign. So the first thing would be that this really does adhere to the format. One of the formats that works very well on GoFundMe, there are actually many different formats that work very well on GoFundMe, but one of the formats, it works quite well. You can also see updates. There are different updates that the team has posted, which I'm willing to bet has led to sort of a propelled interest in this campaign. So here's one update, for example, hey, we have exciting news. Our store, right, is back open again. We're waiting to see your smiling faces, right? Huge thank you to everyone. Thank you for being a part of our story, right? We're writing it together and we're here because of you. This is so important because when you allow someone to feel good about what they've done, guess what happens? They want to spread that happiness. They want other people to participate. They're going to share your campaign. So by thanking people, and by giving them updates like this in gratitude, you're giving them the emotions they want when they donate to your campaign. If there were no updates, people would be like, okay, that's great, but like, I'm waiting for something. What's happened? What's next? How did this impact things, right? They want to find out the next chapter in the story. And that's exactly what updates do. Let's look through this just really quickly. A couple of the different reasons why people donated. So the first thing is that this person found out from a friend and that they're important for the community, right? For books, for authors. So they donated $50. Here's another one who actually connected because of their previous profession. They're a retired librarian. Why are they supporting? Because they want to support reading and defeating book banning. The more you can tie your cause into something larger, then more and more people are going to relate, which is a big term, a big topic when I talk about. The relatability of your cause causes more people to actually donate. Another, right here, what I mentioned before, the photos, right? So when someone sees the photos, they get an emotional feeling, and it kind of lends to that credibility in the story, but they also feel like, I got to do something about this, man. So this person, Carol, said, my heart broke for you when I saw the photos of your lovely store, right? And then it goes on from there. This is really an international strategy. People from London, right, are saying that they're donating because they really care about that store. I'll read just one more here. For example, someone who had a personal experience with that store and the owner, and because of that amazing personal experience, they decided to actually, donate to this campaign. So this is a great exercise, and I would recommend any students of crowdfunding actually looking through some of these and just reading through them so you get a sense of why people are donating to campaigns that are similar to yours. The empathy, as an independent bookstore owner, I know how it feels, right? Empathy, huge major element that causes people to donate to campaigns. So as I promised, let's finish off this video. For those of you that are still at this point, congratulations for getting this far. I'm going to finish off this video with just a couple of tactical ways to market your campaign and to get more donations. But at this point in time, we've gone through the full start to finish of how to set up a GoFundMe campaign. You've seen how easy it is. You've seen how you can even use baby AI to help you with things like grammar and spell check. You've seen how other people are doing it successfully. The countries, the pricing model that goes into this, right? Anyone out there can set one up as long as you're in one of the territories that's mentioned. So there's nothing that's stopping you from doing this and incorporating crowdfunding into your life and into your future. Now, let's talk just a tiny bit here about the marketing. The first thing when it comes to the marketing is that you do have to naturally hit sort of the bare bones checklists that GoFundMe talks about, making sure that you're sharing it, making sure that you're emailing it to people, doing WhatsApp, messaging people on Facebook, etc. One little discussed way in which to promote your fundraiser is to actually identify who it is that would benefit from this cause being shared. So for example, maybe there is another organization for this that talks about literacy, that talks about independent authors. It could be a nonprofit. It could be a publication of some kind. It could be a website, a marketing service that would be willing to share this campaign or do a write-up on behalf of You and Me Books, right? Or is willing to write about, some kind of ancillary subject there. You and Me, the person who founded this, is willing to go on a podcast or give a bite-sized, snippet of the importance of, reading and the impacts that it's had in the local community, right? There's so many story ideas that can come as a result of this. And if you just get even one or two small bloggers to write about it, it's almost like what's called trading up the value chain, where many other larger bloggers, publications, major news outlets, nationwide media coverage can come as a result of even just getting some smaller media hits when it comes to your specific cause or your local cause. The second thing is that if you want to just a tiny bit of the formula, okay, that goes into getting donations, I'm going to sum it up with one word, and that word is injustice. So I do talk about this a lot in the GoFundMe cash machine. This is really the machine that I've developed, the system, if you will, the paint by numbers formula for getting donations on GoFundMe for education, travel, volunteering, emergencies, and much more. I will be honest with you, it is an investment to get access to this education, templates, copy and paste, kind of formulaic stuff, email scripts, everything that goes into launching a campaign. It is an investment to get started with this. However, it's an incredible ROI. And also it speeds up the process a heck of a lot. Again, it's not about just getting the campaign out there. It's doing it right so you can actually get the results that you want. And more importantly, when you have access to the right information, you can actually begin to see a surge of donations in the ways that maybe you have with other projects. But the point that I was going through was that when it comes to this, there is a formula, and one of the elements of this formula is injustice. What do I mean by injustice? So there's actually a lot of different, points that lead to someone donating money, but whenever someone experiences an injustice, that typically is highly correlated with other people wanting to step up to right that injustice. So for example, with this one, right, the injustice that happened was, hey, here's a great local bookstore that's just trying to do good for the community, that's trying to have a space for artists and people that are, doing book launches and mic nights and really just trying to be a kind, supportive, environment for the local community. And what happens? This thing that was out of their control, which was based on a residential unit above the bookstore, caused this injustice. It feels like these people were doing the right thing, but the wrong thing happened to them, right? And when people see that sense of injustice, what it does is ethically, they don't feel good about that and they want to do something to right that injustice. And because of that, they step up and they become the hero of the story, and they're willing, as you see, 6.8 thousand donations. They're willing to step up and actually become one of the heroes of that story and right that injustice. And the only way they can right that injustice is if they donate in order to move that story forward. And then they get to see the outcome of the story, which, as you can see here with the update, the outcome of the story is that the business is now reopened, right? So they've righted the injustice and now everyone feels good about that experience. So if you wanted to learn more about that, I talk a lot about this in the GoFundMe cash machine, and you can learn more about this on your own time, and as well as some of the other items I've included, like pro email fundraising templates, fundraising checklists. I also include one of my guides in this and some other information. In addition, we are consistently upgrading this system, and I'm going to be incorporating much more when it comes to AI or artificial intelligence, so you can launch this campaign in an even more turnkey manner. So if you've ever been interested in sort of the step-by-step that goes into this, go and check out the GoFundMe cash machine, and I will include a link down below where you can learn much more about this and more specifically how this can move you forward in this area of your life. If you're not yet ready to take action when it comes to that, go and check out some of my other content there on YouTube. And also I have a book and some other information out there when it comes to GoFundMe. The final thing I am going to leave you with when it comes to the marketing for your GoFundMe campaign is that you don't want to start this at the last minute. What do I mean by that? I mean, you saw, my friend, how easy it was to set this up, and you could, randomly start sharing this on your social media, but it's going to seem kind of awkward, right? So what you got to do is a strategy that I call, you got to prime the pump. You got to prime the pump. So what do I mean by that? I mean that before you launch your campaign, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 4 weeks. The longest I see with some of these, pre-launch, we call priming the pump campaigns, it could be 1 to 2 months even before you launch it. I would say on the minimum, you want to do between 2 to 4 weeks of priming the pump. And what is that? That's reconnecting with old connections. That's if you haven't been to local organizations you typically frequent, going to those local organizations, right? Making sure that your network is healthy, that you're investing in it, making sure as well that you're talking about what it is you're doing. So that way it just doesn't seem very self-serving and random when you begin to talk about this campaign. So you got to prime the pump, make sure you have a healthy network and healthy base there. There's so much more we could talk about on this video when it comes to digital marketing, social media, email marketing, even doing things like running ads. But I have other videos out there on YouTube. You can check this out. My name is Salvador Brigman. If nothing else, I hope that you enjoyed this video and you did take away how to actually get this set up and running quickly, and also some of the ways in which you can enhance your GoFundMe campaign so that you can raise even more than you ever thought imagined, than you ever thought you could, that you ever thought was possible. I know that, some people might be at this point a little bit exhausted, that this is the end of the road, that the wind in your sails is maybe kind of flowing out. But what I have to say is that actually, if you look at it in the right way, crowdfunding is more of like, if you look out into the distance, you're in the ocean, let's just say, you look out into the distance, there's this wave that's coming your way. And some people, they can be scared, they can start shaking, right? They can get slammed with that wave or that wall of water, and it can be one of the worst, terrible experiences of their life, and they never go back into the ocean. Or you know what? You could be that person who grabs your surfboard, paddles out to that wave, and rides it in to at the sunny shores. And by that, I mean use this to your advantage, right? Go with the flow, learn how to do this, invest the time, and I'm telling you, you're going to be happy with the result and that you did. Thank you so much. Links for everything down below and the GoFundMe cash machine as well down below. Go and check them out in the description. My name is Salvador Briggman. Give me a thumbs up on this video. Come subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you next time.